Here's the definition of complementary angles. Complementary angles are a pair of angles whose measures have a sum of 90 degrees. And a related term, supplementary angles, a pair of angles whose measures have a sum of 180 degrees. Here's two angles not connected. One has a measure of 50 degrees, the other has a measure of 40 degrees. Since 50 degrees plus 40 degrees is equal to 90 degrees, the sum of their measures is 90 degrees. And we can write the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B is equal to 90 degrees. And then we can say that angle A is complementary to angle B. We could also say that angle B is complementary to angle A. Other phrases that are related, we would say that angle A is the complement of angle B, and of course, angle B is the complement of angle A. Another situation that involves complementary angles that you will probably see often is adjacent complementary angles that together form a right angle. And in this diagram, we're given that ray yx is perpendicular to ray yz. And then we can see in the diagram another ray yw that's between the two perpendicular rays. Because the two rays are perpendicular, we may conclude that angle xyw is complementary to angle wyz. Many years ago, I had a poster hanging in my classroom that looked something like this. It showed a pair of complementary angles that was of a different type than the pairs of complementary angles that we're looking at today. And here's two angles that are not adjacent. Their given measures are 112 degrees and 68 degrees. Of course, those two numbers add up to 180. So the measures of angles A and B have a sum of 180 degrees. Therefore, angle A is supplementary to angle B, and of course, angle B then is supplementary to angle A, and the two angles are supplements of one another. Perhaps a more common situation where you'll see supplementary angles are when they're adjacent and together they form a straight line. So we say that angle SUT is supplementary to angle TUV. And those two adjacent angles that form the straight line are known as a linear pair. And a linear pair is a pair of angles with a common side whose other sides are opposite rays. And of course the opposite rays in this case both start at point U and go in opposite directions. So we have ray UV going to the right and ray US going to the left. And of course, opposite rays then make up a line. So we say that angle SUT and angle TUV are a linear pair, and all linear pairs are supplementary. Here's a diagram, and we're given that ray YX on the far left is perpendicular to ray YZ, which is horizontal. And we're also given two measures. We're given the measure of WYZ as 60 degrees, and angle PZR is also 60 degrees. Our job is to find the measure of angle XYW and the measure of angle YZP. Well, let's do XYW first. Because of the perpendicularity, we know we have a pair of complementary angles, and we could subtract from 90. 90 minus 60 is 30, so the measure of angle XYW is 30 degrees. And for angle YZP, we have a linear pair, so we can subtract 60 from 180, and we get 120 degrees for angle YZP. In this lesson, we looked at complementary angles, and that's a pair of angles whose measures have a sum of 90 degrees. We also looked at supplementary angles, a pair of angles whose measures have a sum of 180 degrees, and linear pairs of angles, two angles with a common side whose other sides are opposite rays.